evolving world where the diversity of perspectives, of experiences, of talents is a greatest asset. So today's more than ever, companies that thrive are those who recognize the value of inclusion, of welcoming every individual, regardless of their background, of their ideas. The concept of our conference today is Global Nexus. So Global Nexus includes of course, interconnected challenges that require always collective solutions, more enhanced cooperation, innovation, knowledge exchange, shared responsibility for global sustainability, resilience and risk mitigation, and of course, cultural exchange and understanding. Sustainable growth, if we talk about this concept, this always includes three main points. Economic progress, environmental protection, social well-being is based on the triple bottom line theory, people, planet, and finance. And the key components of sustainable growth have to do with long-term financial stability. So this involves strategic investments in innovation, technology, processes that can enhance efficiency and reduce cost over time. Companies focused on sustainable growth often look beyond immediate profit margins and consider the impact of their decisions on long-term competitiveness, reputation, resilience to market changes. It's about, of course, social responsibility, inclusivity, but also sustainable business models, because now we try to rethink, to reimagine new business models to include sustainability, for example, as a core element. How to adapt it to changing regulations and consumer demands. And this also means that sustainable growth takes into account the evolving landscape of regulations related to environmental, social, governance issues, risk mitigation. Sustainable practices make businesses more resilient to disruptions based by resource scarcity, for example, or social shifts. Innovation, competitive advantage, because sustainable growth encourages innovation in products, services, and processes. This can lead to new markets, improved brand loyalty, competitive advantage, and of course, how to balance profit with purpose, because sustainable growth seeks to balance the pursuit of profit with a purpose-driven mission. Now, what is the link? The link between inclusion and sustainable growth. First, we need to understand about inclusion, that at the core of any inclusive workplace is the belief that every voice matters. It's about creating an environment where a person feels seen, heard, and valued. When we foster this culture of belonging, we unlock the true potential of our people, allow them to bring their authentic selves to work and to contribute fully, to thrive in their roles. And this, in turn, drives engagement, strengthens collaboration, leads to better decision-making and problem-solving, which are essential to sustainable growth. But inclusion is not just about what is right ethically. It's about doing what is smart strategically. A workplace that actively embraces inclusion is one that attracts top talents, nurtures innovation, fosters loyalty, both among employees and customers. So it allows us actually to tap into the richness of diverse experiences and perspectives, empower us to build more agile, forward-thinking organizations. Of course, let us remember that sustainable growth is not just about financial performance, I mentioned before. It's about creating long-lasting value for our employees, for our communities, and the world around us. By embracing inclusivity, we're building not just better businesses, but also a better future where everyone has the opportunity to contribute, to innovate, and succeed. So what is this link between inclusivity and sustainable growth? A diverse workplace brings a wide range of perspectives and ideas to the table. So this diversity of thought fosters innovation, because employees are more likely to approach problems creatively and devise unique solutions. Inclusivity creates a sense of belonging, I mentioned before. So when employees feel respected and heard, they're more engaged in their work. This leads to improved and increased productivity and lower turnover rates. Companies that embrace inclusivity are often seen as desirable employers, attracting top talent from various backgrounds and retaining them for longer periods, reducing the cost associated with recruitment and training. Improved decision-making, because research has shown that diverse and inclusive teams make better decisions. A Harvard Business Review study found that teams with greater diversity outperformed non-diverse teams by up to 87% decision-making processes. So this is because diverse teams consider a wide range array of factors, they challenge assumptions, and they're more likely to identify potential risks and opportunities. Of course, this expands market research, and it's very important that we talk about resilience also and adaptability, because an inclusive workplace is inherently more resilient. When different perspectives are represented, organizations are better equipped to navigate challenges and uncertainties. So how to build an inclusive workplace? It's about leadership and commitment. Creating an inclusive culture starts at the top. Leaders must actively champion diversity and inclusion, communicate a clear vision for inclusion, embed inclusion strategy and goals, and foster, of course, open communication, psychological safety. This means create safe spaces for dialogues. Leaders should encourage open discussions about diversity, inclusion, and equity, allowing employees to share experiences, to raise concerns, and suggest improvements without fear of retribution. And address issues promptly, because when issues related to bias or exclusion arise, leaders must address them quickly and decisively, showing a commitment to resolving conflicts fairly. Empowers diverse voice. For example, can promote employee resource groups. This means that we can support and fund employee resource groups that provide a platform for underrepresented groups to voice their concerns, to share their ideas, and contribute to company-wide initiatives. Invest in training and leaders should hold themselves and others accountable. This is very important. We talk about accountability mechanism. This could involve performance reviews or feedback mechanism or specific key performance indicators. So regularly share updates on this progress and challenges with employees, showing that leadership is committed to transparency, accountability, and improvement. Now, what role does leadership accountability play in fostering inclusivity? The commitment to inclusivity, this means establish a seriousness. When leaders hold themselves accountable, it signals to the entire organization that inclusivity is not optional or just optics, but it's a strategic priority. And this fosters a culture where inclusion is actively pursued rather than merely discussed. And shows consistently in action, because leadership accountability ensures that the commitment to inclusivity is maintained consistently over time, not just during special events or diversity campaigns. Drives meaningful change. We talk about a results-oriented approach, because without accountability, inclusivity efforts can remain vague or symbolic. So there is a focus here on tangible outcomes, such as increasing representation of underrepresented groups, equitable pay, or improving employee experiences, and focus on long-term progress. Now, we talk about the culture of transparency. How this happens? When leaders are accountable for inclusivity, they're more likely to share data and progress. This involves more regular internal or external audits or assessments on how well the company is doing in terms of inclusivity. This ensures inclusivity is embedded in business strategy, empowers inclusive leadership at all levels, and prevents performative action. So without accountability, leaders may engage in performative actions that look good externally, but have little internal impact. Accountability ensures that leaders are responsible for creating real, meaningful change rather than simply adopting a superficial diversity and inclusion policies. Increases trust and employee engagement, and definitely sets an example for external stakeholders. So leadership accountability, it not only enhances internal culture, but also affects the company's reputation among clients, investors, and other stakeholders. Organizations that hold leaders accountable for diversity and inclusion are seen as socially responsible and committed to broader social values, which can be a competitive advantage in the market. So how can organizations align their business vision with diversity inclusion goals? Of course, embed this in their mission and values, make this a leadership priority, align talent strategy with its goals. This means align recruitment strategies with goals by ensuring diverse candidate pipelines and removing barriers to entry, for example, underrepresented groups. Create equitable talent development programs such as mentorship and leadership development opportunities that help retain and advance diverse talent within the organization. And develop a culture of belonging. This means create an environment where all employees are respected, regularly assess the company policies, benefits, work conditions to ensure that they are inclusive and supportive of diverse employees. So flexible work policies that could be parental leave, could be accommodations for disabilities. Integrate this program into corporate social responsibility and incorporate metrics also into business performance reviews. So regularly track and report this progress, so develop clear metrics to measure the efforts, such as what could be the metrics, workforce, for example, diversity statistics, or pay equity analysis, or employee engagement surveys, or leadership diversity ratios. This should be included in regular business performance reviews and discussed alongside traditional key performance indicators like revenue and profitability. In general, foster inclusive work environment, engage with customer stakeholders, and it's about continuous improvement and feedback. Of course, policies and practices play a key role here, support an inclusive workplace. We need, for example, this diversity, equity, inclusion policy. It's about formal commitment. A comprehensive policy outlines the company's commitment to fostering diversity at all levels of organization. It sets clear expectations for behavior, supports diverse hiring and promotion, and ensures that every employee has access to equal opportunities. At the same time, equal employment opportunity policy, it's about what we call non-discrimination clause. This policy ensures that all employees and job applicants are treated fairly and equitably, regardless of characteristics like race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, disability, etc. So this helps prevent discrimination in hiring, promotions, compensation, and workplace treatment. And the policy should include, of course, clear procedures for reporting and resolving cases of discrimination, harassment, ensuring that employees feel safe in bringing forward concerns. So more inclusive recruitment and any policy, equal pay, flexible work and work-life balance policies, accommodation policies for people with disabilities. This may include physical accommodation, labs, or accessible restrooms, assistive technology. And it's about proactive assessment because organizations should regularly assess their facilities, their tools and policies to ensure that they are accessible and inclusive for employees with different needs. This needs professional development and mentorship policy. A policy focused on professional development ensures that all employees have access to training, to leadership development, to mentorship programs, and more targeted programs for underrepresented groups. So implement programs that specifically support the growth of employees. For example, that would be for women, leadership programs for women, mentorship for LGTB community employees, etc. So how can companies ensure that their recruitment and promotion practices are inclusive by developing strategies that measure and ensure job descriptions are inclusive? Very important. Nowadays, we talk a lot about job descriptions. Here we need to use inclusive language. Review job descriptions, very important step because we need to ensure that the language used is, for example, gender neutral and inclusive of all identities. Many women, are discouraged because of the male-dominated job descriptions. So we need to avoid terms that may discourage certain groups from applying. Focus on skill and experience. Emphasize the skills, qualifications, and experience required for the role rather than arbitrary criteria. For example, say years of experience, etc. This might exclude candidates with diverse backgrounds who could be equally qualified. Try to expand talent pools and recruitment channels. This means you need to broaden recruitment channels, go beyond traditional hiring platforms to reach diverse candidates, engage with job boards, professional networks, organizations focus on underrepresented groups, partner with diverse institutions, with women colleges, community organizations. Implement blind recruitment practices. This means anonymize candidate information and use a consistent standardized process, so a structured application process for evaluating applications to ensure that each candidate is assessed fairly without bias. And very important, the unconscious bias training for recruiters. This means provide regular training, ensure that recruiters, hiring managers, and anyone involved in the hiring process undergo unconscious bias training. And implement systems where hiring teams are held accountable for ensuring fairness in the recruitment process. So we talk about more fair and transparent promotion criteria. So develop a transparent promotion process that is based on measurable performance metrics and clear role-specific criteria rather than subjective factors. This ensures that promotions are granted based on merit and qualifications, and standardize the promotion process means that we need to ensure that the promotion process is standardized across departments and levels, reducing the likelihood of favoritism or bias affecting advancement opportunities. How should organizations handle bias in performance evaluation and promotions? First, this means that the training that I mentioned before needs to educate on bias. Provide regular unconscious bias for managers, for supervisors. Needs address a specific bias. For example, I don't know if it's here. Okay. Focus on common biases that can affect evaluations. For example, one case of bias, affinity bias. How to favor people similar to oneself. Or confirmation bias. How we interpret information to confirm pre-existing beliefs. Or gender, racial, or age-related biases. How to use objective measurable criteria. Of course, it's important. Require multi-rated feedback. 360-degree reviews means collect feedback from multiple sources. That could be peers or direct reports or cross-functional teams. This reduces reliance on a single evaluator perspective. So helps to identify potential biases, providing a more well-rounded view. More diverse review panels, and to calibrate performance ratings, so hold the calibration meetings, cross-department comparison, use data to track, identify bias, and avoid, very important, avoid subjective language. So use neutral objective language, ensure that performance evaluations are written using neutral and objective language. I forgot to mention before about internal mobility. We need to encourage internal applications to encourage employees from diverse backgrounds to apply for open positions and promotions within the company. Make sure that all employees are aware of available opportunities and that internal mobility is a key part of career advancement. So talent development review. Regularly assess internal talent to identify high potential employees, particularly from underrepresented groups, and provide pathways for career growth and promotion. Provide also sponsorship and mentorship programs, offer appeal mechanism, provide employees with a formal mechanism to appeal performance evaluation or promotion decisions if they believe that bias played a role, and offer anonymous channels for reporting perceived bias in performance evaluations or promotions. How organizations create sense of belonging? This has to do with employee engagement by building diverse workforce, recruiting diverse talent, by celebrating diversity, offering flexible and inclusive policies, and of course, by fostering psychological safety, promote inclusive communication, and what strategies can be used to encourage active participation of all employees. The most important thing is leading by example. Leaders should model inclusive behaviors and actively participate in these initiatives. When leadership visibly supports and engages in inclusivity efforts, it sends a strong message to the entire organization that these initiatives are a priority. Of course, this means create physical and virtual workplaces. When we talk about physical workplaces, it's design places that accommodate the needs of diverse employees, including gender-neutral bathrooms or spaces for nursing mothers or prayer rooms or accessible facilities for people with disabilities, and virtual workplaces for remote or hybrid teams, ensure that digital tools and platforms are accessible to all employees, and that virtual meetings are inclusive of employees in different time zones and with different communication needs. Equitable recognition and rewards has to do with fair recognition practices, ensure that recognition rewards are distributed equitably, that achievements of employees from diverse backgrounds are acknowledged, and of course, diverse criteria for recognition, implement recognition criteria that value diverse contributions, etc. We need to make participation easy and accessible, make it personal and relatable. This means this has to do with storytelling, which is very important, essential nowadays in the business landscape. It is about personal stories. Encourage employees to share personal stories or experiences related to diversity and inclusion. This helps humanize the initiatives and makes them more relatable to others, showing how inclusivity directly impacts individuals in the workplace. That could be, for example, about role models and champions. Identify and promote inclusivity champions within the organization who actively participate in these initiatives. They can serve as role models for others. Use a gamification also, create inclusivity challenges. So many strategies that we can use, and in any cases, how companies can track employee engagement through conducting employee engagement surveys. So including specific questions, for example, do you feel valued, respected by your colleagues? Do you feel that the company provides an inclusive supporting environment? Questions like this. Try to measure perception of inclusivity, the demographic segmentation. So break down survey results by demographic groups, race, gender, to understand the experiences of different groups within the organization. And this helps identify any disparities in areas where inclusivity efforts might be falling short for certain populations. Try to monitor participation in these programs. And track career development advancement, very important, because we can measure participation in mentorship and sponsorship programs, particularly for employees from underrepresented groups. This shows that, for example, high participation rates and positive feedback suggest that these programs are helping foster career development. And track the representation of diverse employees in leadership roles and positions. Success in creating a more inclusive workplace will often be reflected in an increased number of diverse employees in senior positions. Track the recruitment and retention data. So diversity in hiring, track retention rates for employees from these vulnerable groups, and measure whether employees from diverse backgrounds are advancing at similar rates as their peers. Measure the impact on workplace culture. Use tools to assess the overall workplace culture, specifically focusing on inclusivity. Observe employee interactions. Pay attention to how employees interact across different groups, cross-functional teams, or diverse teams, social gatherings, other signs of genuine inclusivity, such as collaboration or mutual respect. User data-driven dashboards. This is related with data analytics dashboards to track and visualize key inclusivity metrics, tracking trends, of course, over time, and assess customer and community feedback, because we need an external perception of inclusivity. Measure how customers, external stakeholders perceive the company's commitment to diversity, track the company's involvement in community initiatives, charitable organizations, partnerships that promote inclusivity. And I think the most important is how to track changes in organizational behavior, because behavioral changing is very important. We look for signs of changes in organizational behavior, such as improved collaboration across diverse teams, or more inclusive language used in meetings and communications, a decrease in discriminatory behaviors or incidents, and employee engagement with feedback loops. It's important because we need to monitor whether employees feel heard when they provide feedback on these initiatives. Companies that demonstrate a willingness to act on feedback will see more engagement in inclusivity efforts. So the benefits of having diverse perspective, this has to do with more enhanced problem-solving innovations, a variety of solutions, fosters innovation, better decision-making, reduces what we call groupthink, because homogeneous leadership teams can fall into groupthink. We all know about this, where everyone thinks alike. A diverse team reduces the risk. So leaders are more likely to challenge each other, to consider alternative solutions, to think critically, leading to more robust decision-making. Improve business performance, so stronger financial outcomes, competitive advantage, increased employee engagement through positive work culture, and Of course, better crisis management, so adaptability in crisis, improve the company reputation, and enhance the global perspective. Broader network collaboration opportunities important, access to diverse network, cross-cultural collaboration, diverse leadership teams, so inclusive leadership, as we say, and very important, the role of employee resource groups, which actually try to provide diverse perspectives to advocate for policy changes, to promote this kind of initiatives, to promote employee well-being and mental health. Mental health, it's a major concern of many companies nowadays. You know that Google organizes special mental health programs and programs on well-being for its employees. Not only Google's, but many companies nowadays. This organization need to invest in training, especially when it comes to bias, use data, when it's more interactive bias assessment tools. Try to use these tools, conduct periodic audits for this, focus on practical everyday applications, real-world scenarios, actionable strategies, encourage self-reflection, create a safe environment for learning, and use long-term learning approaches that could be micro-learning and digital resources, for instance. Leverage metrics. I have to finish now. This inclusion is related to innovation, like we said before. We need to track progress through workforce demographic by tracking the leadership diversity, etc. So I think the common barriers, yes, I haven't mentioned about the common barriers to creating an inclusive workplace. These are related with bias. The first one, the lack of leadership commitment, resistance to change, and the cultural homogeneity, groupthink that I mentioned. Sufficient training, of course, and how we can address these challenges through implementing flexible work policies, through addressing language barriers for some time, leveraging technology for inclusivity, supporting global career development. The risk of focusing, another risk, if we focus on diversity without fostering true inclusion, this will lead definitely to a superficial approach, what we call tokenism and surface level diversity, erosion of trust, negative impact on organization culture. If we show off that we have diversity practices, but this is not happening in reality, it's not a true inclusion, then this will have negative results, and this will lead to ineffective leadership, negative brand image, and reputation. So inclusive culture is related with enhanced brand reputation, loyalty, with compliance and risk mitigation, stronger collaboration. If inclusion is not adopted, then the impact will, if exclusion is predominant, then we talk about reduced productivity, poor decision making. On the other hand, we have also increased turnover. We talk about employee retention. So how can inclusion help companies adapt to changing market conditions through improved customer understanding, increased employee engagement, adapting to workforce demographics also, and finally, leadership development. Encourage open dialogue, diverse perspective, cultivate emotional intelligence, a big chapter in a workplace, very interesting. Modern inclusive behavior at the senior leadership level, what I said before, lead by example. And what role do inclusive leadership behaviors play in shaping company culture and performance? The impact on company culture, I mentioned before, the builds an empowering environment, championing equity, inclusion, and policies, the impact organizational performance, how to have the resilience and adaptability. And finally, the key inclusive leadership behavior should be to listen, to be an active listener, to value input, to demonstrate empathy, to challenge biases, promote fairness, foster collaboration, encourage continuous learning and growth. Thank you very much for your attention. For any question, I'm here to discuss.